Roll call, please.
Sure. Sherry Boye is absent. James Ellis.
Here.
Archie McKee.
Here.
Melissa Mills is absent. Nate Manette.
Here.
Clyde Rabideau.
Here.
Nick Russell is absent. Also present, Jeremy Evans, Maria Bourgeois, Paul Ellis, and Catherine Kemp from Barclay Damon.
Thank you, Maria. I'd like to get a motion to accept the agenda as is. There doesn't appear to be anything in addition. Moved by Archie.
I'll second.
Second, Nate. All in favor of accepting the agenda as is, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Public comment. Is there any public comment? There being none, excuse me?
Can you ask a question? I'm not part of the public, but can I ask a question?
Yeah, that's right. Sure.
This has to do with the Hearth building and it primarily aimed at Jeremy. Did you hear whether or not those new and improved engineers were able to visit and take a look at the wall and make a determination?
They didn't visit, but the engineer got all the information that he needed from them. And so they are finalizing the report. So I don't know when we'll have it, maybe by the end of the week.
Okay.
Very good. Anything else? And we got a meeting, motion to approve minutes of the previous meeting of March 20th. All of which you have received.
So moved.
Moved by Clyde. Second.
I'll second.
Second, Nate. All in favor of accepting the minutes of March 2024 as is, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, I wasn't there, so can I vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Aye. Committee reports, if none, we'll move on. Any committee reports? There being none. I have our committee chairman are both here, so that's okay. Treasurer's report, Paul.
Yes.
I noticed a new format too. I think it's, it's okay, but it's gonna get me, I'm gonna have to get used to it. So why don't you go ahead and do the highlights if you wish.
Okay.
So the overall format is fairly similar to what we were getting before. All I simply did was remove accounts that aren't used anymore. Then I also, let's say when we get into the IDA and the EDC, what happens is sometimes the account numbers were different in one than the other. So I've retailored the chart of accounts just to simply have both entities have the same account number. So for instance, if you had investment earnings, it's 4510 in both.
Oh.
All right. And before one said interest income and the other one said investment income. So I've tried to make sure that all the titles match and that the titles tie back to how the ABO report is, just so that it simplifies when we have to do uploads for budget or uploads for our annual report, that the information is going to be easier to input because the titles match what ABO does. So that's basically, and that's the same for both entities.
Yeah, I see under income, it's significant difference between this year and last year, and it seems to be primarily due to the pilot fees.
Mm-hmm.
And are those all of our pilot payments or partial? Or
no. So this is a confusing point.
What line number, please, Paul?
What?
They're on the first page.
Yeah.
Under total income.
Okay, it's not a separate line.
12.
Got it.
So we act as an independent third party for pilot payments. So when a business wants to engage in a pilot, We charge them a 1% fee for the construction costs, and that is our primary, pretty much our sole source of income for the IDA to operate. The timing of when these pilots get to a point where they close is a challenge to predict, because sometimes things go as planned, other times there's back and forth, other times there's delays in getting that. So the pilot payment that you're actually seeing on here was for a project that we actually thought was going to get completed and closed last year. All right. We have several other pilot projects that are going to close this year as well. The pilot payment, not to be confused with the pilot fee, which we collect, the pilot payment comes to us as a third party, and then we redistribute all of that out to the taxing jurisdictions on a pro rata basis based upon their tax rate, correct, Maria? On the tax rate,
Correct.
right?
You say for that, we receive 1%?
The fee is 1%, yeah. So I
But
just want to make,
Is he referring to application fees, or is
Yeah.
it a different line? His application fees are separate from the 1%.
well, the application fee, well, I split out the pilot fees from the application, because
Okay.
initially they do that $500. So that's what I capture under the application fee, and then the big fee goes under pilot fees.
So this is somewhat deceiving, because we're going to be paying a good share of that
No,
back out. No?
no.
This is the 1%?
That is the 1% that we collect on the project. And then when Maria bills, well, it'll be me probably billing, because Maria will be gone at that point at the end of the year. Then we bill the entity sends us a check, we redistribute that out to the
Gotcha.
village, the town, the school, the county. Is that it? Okay.
Any other questions? If not, we will assume that we're ready to go ahead and vote to accept or reject the treasurer's report for this month. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Moved by Clyde, second?
I'll second it. Archie seconds it.
Whatever.
Motion's been moved and seconded, and then there's any further questions? There being none, we'll be ready for a vote now. All in favor of accepting the treasurer's report for this month, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Guys have it. Jeremy, CEO report.
Well, I have a short CEO report, and it's going to be shorter because I had forgotten what it was supposed to be about. Thanks. Luckily, Maria reminded me. And so I didn't print out what I was going to, but I will print it, or I'll email it to everybody in the next couple of days. And what that is our basically our report card for the first quarter of this year, as far as our objectives. What we do is we do quarterly objectives and tasks associated with each objective. We keep, as a staff, we keep track of those throughout the quarter. And then at the end, if you recall from last year, we send the board a report on how we did with everything. And so, and then we do it again for the next quarter. So we did pretty good last quarter. Could have done better. Some things were out of our control, but a lot of those things are going to continue in this quarter, such as the microenterprise grant application that we're going to be submitting for the town of Tupper Lake, town of Harrietstown, for the rail trail businesses. Also our EDA planning grant for the update to the comprehensive economic development strategy. Those grants, I mean, Rachel's working on those applications as we speak. I'll be working on them with her after this meeting. We're hoping to get a couple of those out this week. So
Do we have many
we have
applications?
three that we are writing right now. One's for Tupper Lake, one's for Harrodstown, and one is for us. And we're just trying to get those all out because we've been working on them for a while, and we need to just hit the send button. So we want to get them out before the end of the month, but we didn't quite make it. But they are pending. So anyway, just look for that email. It'll be the report card and along with the objectives for the second quarter so that so that the board knows what our focus is going to be for quarter 2 also.
Very good. Any questions for Jeremy?
No.
There being none, we'll move on now to old business. Any old business? There being none, we'll move on to new business. First up is resolution 2024-08 to adopt performance evaluation procedures to be used within the organization for our employees and our staff. Can I have a motion to put it on the floor so we can discuss it, please? Resolution 2024-08.
I'll make the move.
Motion by Nate, second
Second.
by, discussion. I have a question. I looked at this format that we have here with the four blocks. I'm familiar with that one from the Redden 3D model, which was a thing written by a Canadian professor of economics. Strangely, he did a nice job with it. But my question.
What's wrong with Canadians?
I'll talk to you about that later. Anyway, it's pretty involved. I guess you folks that's put it together realize that you got a lot of work to do there. Is there any chance that it would detract from our day-to-day business? And with a small staff like this, you'd hate like heck to take up.
Yeah, it's a good question, and we will see. I think the thing that will take more time is that the input from the committee and the staff was the once per year evaluation wasn't helpful.
Okay,
And we all wanted to make sure there was something in between. So we added doing some quarterly check-ins with each staff person.
I see. How do you record those? What format do you use?
The quarterly is supposed to be pretty informal,
I saw that.
so I haven't figured that out.
Just a suggestion. We used to use something like that at the school when I was working with our faculty and putting together various procedures. The one thing I was always concerned about, and I raised that question a moment ago, is to say, "Oh, geez, I gotta get something out." Well, I want to give our evaluators the time they need to do a thorough evaluation. So I'm going to suggest maybe what we might want to do is to have our governance committee, which was the source basically of this format that we're looking at right now, give you a year to year suggestion. When you look at it and say, the quarterly report's okay, we don't have to do that. But if you want to keep the quarterly report, all I think is necessary would be to indicate by checkoff that the quarterly report was held. And you sign, or as the evaluator, or the other person signs as the person being evaluated, yeah, we did have a quarterly report. Boom, that's it.
Okay, well, everybody wanted to have the quarterly check-in. So I
Right.
think we need to keep that because everybody wanted it.
Yeah.
But I'll come up with a suggestion on how to record it and just review it with the governance committee. Just
Well,
but to keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it as simple as you can, so you don't get under the gun and say, "Oh, geez, I gotta get something out."
Yep.
And
Well, that's appreciated.
yeah, and the other thing is, I think everything that happens, both good and bad, you might want to note by a note in the file council so-and-so today about such and such.
Yeah.
Agreed that we were going to do this, period. So just think about that.
Okay, good, thanks.
Anybody else?
Who's going to perform the evaluations? The governance committee?
No, they're all done by me.
Oh. Okay.
So all we did, I think I saw in there, Jason.
Yeah, I know it. That's what I was thinking. How do we make evaluation determinations? Because we don't work on a day-to-day basis and, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good question, which I think I can add to it. I didn't see anything in there specifically about the evaluation of the chief executive officer and the chief financial officer. Are you gonna rate the CFO?
Yes.
Okay,
And then we do need to just, I mean, in the past, you've had a process to do the chief executive officer, which we could add to
Right.
this, but
basically, I'll just suggest this, Nate, this is gonna be in your ball court. We really have to think about having the governance committee involved, I think, in doing the actual evaluation, then reporting it back to the full,
for the CEO.
for the CEO. And then reporting it back to the full agency board, because that's where the determination is gonna be made on salary and other things that may be affected as far as your
Okay,
position.
that's a good point. We hadn't quite nailed that down. So Nate and I have worked on that.
Yeah. Is that
I like
okay?
it. I like it.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything further on this resolution 2024-08? Okay, there being none, I'll assume we're ready for the roll call vote. The motion on the floor is to adopt resolution 2024-08. Roll.
Okay, Sherry Boye is absent. James Ellis,
Yes,
Archie McKee,
Yes.
Melissa Mills is absent. Nate Manette,
Yes.
Clyde Rabidou,
yes.
Nick Russell is absent. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, Maria. Now we go on to resolution 2024-09. New York, what's USLE?
US Light and Energy.
US Light and Energy, for initial resolution for a project that they're putting on the board. Could I have a motion to accept resolution 2024-09 for a vote?
For conversation, so moved.
Moved by Archie, second.
I'll second.
Second, Nate. Okay, discussion. Why don't we ask Jeremy to give us a quick update or a summary of what the resolution is?
Okay, so first I'll start with just a reminder of what our process is when it comes to IDA incentive projects. First, we receive an application. The application is included in the packet. Once that's deemed complete and accepted, then we can we can consider an initial resolution. What the initial resolution does is it simply sets forth the project, and in this case, it identifies where the project is located, which is Chasm Road in town of Chateauguay, the size of it, what kind of project it is. In this case, it's a community scale solar project, 4 megawatts. And then if authorized, if the resolution is adopted, it authorizes myself and our council to negotiate potential terms with the company. It's basically saying, this is a project that does appear to be eligible for IDA benefits. It checks the boxes for eligibility, and we're authorizing the CEO and the council to negotiate with the company to see if there's incentive project to approve. If we come to that, a draft consensus on proposed benefits, we then schedule a public hearing, which takes place in the town in which the project is located. And then anytime after that, the board can consider what's called the authorizing resolution, which sets forth the actual terms and conditions of the project. So the initial resolution is simply saying this project is eligible as we understand it for consideration, and allowing myself and Harris Beach to negotiate to see if there's incentives to that are appropriate.
So there'll be a second resolution probably to put meat on the bones.
Right, that's called the authorized resolution. So just as a reminder, just last month, we did the authorizing resolution for Bionique.
Right,
We did the initial resolution back in October.
right.
So that's it's couple approval parts to a project.
I just did that to just remind ourselves
Yeah.
again, it's a two-step process. Any further discussion? Oh, sorry, Glenn.
So this is probably the first time I've looked at an IDA
Yeah.
resolution as a member. How do we get to this point? I mean, like, anybody can apply for an IDA benefit, correct? I mean, did anybody look at their pro forma statement? What would happen if there was an IDA benefit versus not?
That is part what if the initial resolution's approved, that's part of what we do next. So this is it's more of a gatekeeper. Is this eligible under state law? Because not anybody can apply. Retail can apply. There's a lot of projects that don't qualify. So our first part is, does this qualify for potential benefits? The answer is yes, under state law. Doesn't mean we're doing it, it just means it's eligible.
Okay. So guide me through this process. I'm not enamored with anybody just saying, oh, we want to be tax exempt, we want a pilot agreement, sales tax exempt, pilot agreement, blah, blah, blah. I'm not enamored by that. You'd have to show me. I have to take the Missouri approach.
The show me state?
Yeah, just like, I don't think everybody that walks in the door should get IDA benefits. So what's this process gonna be?
So, once the application's approved, what I start doing is working with a company to see what they think that they are interested in having benefits, and then doing a cost benefit analysis for what that means.
Who does that? Paul, us? Who does that?
I do it. Yeah, we have a couple different spreadsheets that we do just to see what the overall tax exemption would be estimated to be over the life of the term, whatever the term might be. And then we also run it through a spreadsheet or a worksheet that estimates the cost benefit to the local community, and if there's sales tax exemption, also the state.
Okay,
And then, that can go through iterations internally. And the other component to this is the interaction with the taxing jurisdiction. So in this case, the town of Chateauguay, Franklin County, and the Chateauguay School District on what I do is I work with the applicant. We see if we can come up with something. I try to get input from each of those jurisdictions, see how they're feeling about it. Kind of an iterative process to see if we come to something that everybody thinks is a good idea.
for me, I don't mean to monopolize the conversation, but it would have to be an extreme justification for negating property tax, an extreme justification to eliminate sales tax. Everybody in the world pays it except for IDA projects. So what happens if we don't do it? Are we gonna go through with it or not? Who determines that?
We're making that judgment call. That's the board of directors. Yep.
I would remind the former mayor that Jesse James was from Missouri too. Just so you know.
I think he went to Siena.
Yeah, he was. He didn't want the Jesuits.
I would think a couple of things that we would look at is job creation, which I think is one of our big goals, is to assist in job creation and benefits to the community. If such a project's going to create jobs or be a significant benefit to the community, I would think that those would be a couple of hurdles that we'd be looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are written right into our
That's a
into our
lot too.
policy. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I should mention, I mean, we do have Katie from Barclay Damon. So if you have any specific questions for her, I don't want to ignore the fact that she's on the call, but and then she's representing the U.S. Light and Energy. So, but back to your question, Clyde, that's a board decision. So the question is whether or not me and the company and our council can come up with the right information, demonstrate that it's worth the cost to the community. So these are
And
good
I
questions.
think we'll all be looking at different things. This is for Katie too. I'm a big advocate of expanding the tax base. You got a piece of property that I just realized this. I looked at what they're assessed for at that site, and their total tax $848 a year on how many acres?
That's
48.
50. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 48 acres. I mean, if I have a choice between sitting there and drawing $848 a year from a piece of property 48 acre size, I think I'd be, from my point of view, I'd be happy to support proposition if it brings in X dollars more for the town. And is the Village of Chattagay still in business, or they?
Yeah, they're still there. Yeah.
They're still there. Okay. For the town, the village, the school, and the county.
Right. Right. But I think where Clyde's coming from is what's that additional number? Is that additional number worth it? Right.
That's
That's not the only, I get.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I
No, it's good.
agree that there's a lot of cases that justify that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at a business, instead of making, I'm gonna throw out big fat numbers. Well, instead of making $8 million a year, they're gonna make $6 million a year if they pay taxes. Okay, I don't have sympathy for that. But I want to know what the facts are.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah, you're right.
okay, so I don't have a lot of sympathy for that.
Yep.
As a former mayor,
Yes.
we need tax dollars
Right.
to run the show, and everybody else is paying it. So I just need that justification. Is this a make or break proposition? I mean, if without a pilot, would they go forward? I would need to know that.
That's a good point.
All I got to say. Right now.
You summarize the tax exemption policy as far as what the IDA board is supposed to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
so amen. Done.
It's well put question. Thank you. Anything else? Anything further? Do we
Maybe I would suggest, if anything, that we hold maybe a separate session with the board members and employees to maybe review the pilots to see where we all stand on a separate time. That way we can all be on the same page.
Well, I think would be part of what the reporting committee would say to the full board. We can't operate in public without a full, an agenda. Right.
It's a public meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be a public.
We can have a
meeting.
work session. That's no fun. That's no problem.
So if there's any questions, I think, Nate, just to begin with, you're the chairman of the governance committee. When we have a follow-up here, I think it would be necessary for you probably to sit down and announce to the board, the committee will be ready to make a presentation at the next monthly meeting. In the meantime, if you, as individual members of the board wish to make any kind of comment at all about the agreement as it stands, then let us know. And then you can be ready for your report the following meeting. And they're all taped. That's why this is a very important aspect of what we do here. That's why I go through this long iteration sometimes. All those in favor, well, you gotta do this and you gotta amend that. I had it blown up on my parliamentary procedure when I realized these are all getting taped. Katie? Are you okay, Katie, with our discussion so far? And you care to offer?
Not unless there's any specific questions. I'm also joined with company representative Alex Burnett is also here.
Okay.
If it's something you're interested in at this meeting, I know he can give a brief presentation of the project if that's what you'd like. You can also certainly do the same at an upcoming public hearing, just depending on your preference.
We probably had a pretty good thumbnail sketch of what's going on with the materials that Jeremy provided us. So I think that part's good until you're ready to come back and say, we're ready to sit down and talk, talk the terms of the contract, if that's what we're gonna do.
Yes,
Okay.
we're certainly ready to move forward with the board and Jeremy and council at the board's pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Members of the IDA, any further questions?
To me, this smacks a little bit of an initial application. Am I correct or incorrect? And
It is.
No, that's correct.
The table.
yeah, okay.
On the table, that's
Yeah.
right.
Anything further? If not, we have a motion to approve resolution 2024-09 for the New York USLE Chasm Road project or potential project. Is there any? I'd ask Maria to go ahead and call the roll.
Okay, Sherry Boye is absent. James Ellis,
Yes.
Archie McKee.
Yes.
Melissa Mills is absent. Nate Manat,
Yes.
Clyde Rabideau,
Yes.
Nick Russell is absent. Motion is duly adopted.
Thanks, Maria. Before we move on, I just want to say thank you to, I overlooked it when we did 08 on the performance evaluation procedures. I want to thank Jeremy, Nate, Alan Fleury, and Dan Mills for their work on developing the model that we're going to be using. So our thanks. Now we're ready to go into resolution 2024-10, the Bombay factory sale, secret determination. Jeremy can explain that to us quickly. You all saw it.
Yeah,
in your packet.
so as a public agency, any actions or many actions we take are subject to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, state law, and also known as seeker. And disposing or selling of property is one of those activities that constitutes an action. And we're ready. We and local panels are ready to move towards closing on the factory property. And this is one of the steps we need to take, which is to do seeker review and make a determination on whether or not the sale of the property will have a significant impact on the environment. So the resolution in front of you establishes the IDA as the lead agency. It determines that the action is an unlisted action and proposes that the sale of the property will not have any significant impacts on the environment as shown by reviewing the seeker environmental assessment that's also included with the packet.
I didn't get.
If you want to see it within your packet again, take a look at it.
In your packet,
It's
At the end.
that's 3 pages.
a motion to approve the
Basically a form that we just have to sign off.
negative. Negative.
Archie.
I thought this was part of the other
No,
one.
that's all the seeker report.
What it is a process sheet, Archie, that Jeremy did against the outline that you see there.
Yeah, this is, what, is this part one? Yeah,
There's 3 parts to the form. All 3 parts are included.
Katie's look.
I read it, so. Might just move it or-
Sorry.
They're just reading through it.
okay.
Oh, we did make one.
I don't think so.
Maria, did we have a motion on the floor to
No.
approve this yet?
No.
We do not yet.
Okay.
I move a negative declaration on this, so.
Well, what we're doing is moving to approve the resolution 2024-10.
Which is a negative.
Correct.
I move it.
Second.
I'll second it.
Second by Nate. We've had the discussion, any further discussion on the negative declaration that we found at the end of the seeker? There being none, we'll assume the questions moved. Go ahead and do the roll. Thank you, Maria.
Sherry Boye is absent. James Ellis,
Yes.
Archie McKee,
Yes,
Melissa Mills is absent. Nate Manette,
Yes.
Clyde Rabidou,
Yes.
Nick Russell is absent. Motion is duly adopted.
Thank you, Maria. Executive session is not required according to what we did when we accepted the agenda as is. So we'll move on to number 11, public comment. Any public comment? There being none, we'll move to adjourn. Today's next meeting is May 8, 2024. Any questions? That motion to
Move to adjourn.
motion by Clyde, second,
second.
Archie. All in favor to adjourn, please signal by saying